Every single day, millions of drivers turn their car keys, step on the gas, and go about their lives without giving a single thought to the dark, amber liquid circulating deep inside their engine. Motor oil is usually an afterthought, something we put off for another month, another 1,000 miles, or until that little reminder sticker on the windshield starts judging us. But what actually happens if you just ignore it? What if you decide to never change your engine oil again? To most people, skipping an oil change feels harmless. The car starts up fine today. It drives fine tomorrow. It feels like a victimless crime. But deep inside your engine, out of sight and out of mind, a slow, violent chain reaction begins the exact second oil starts to degrade. It is a quiet, gradual breakdown that transforms the lifeblood of your vehicle into its absolute worst enemy. And by the time you actually notice the warning signs from the driver's seat, the damage is already catastrophic. Today, we are going to walk through the complete, step-by-step mechanical autopsy of what happens when motor oil is left to die inside an engine. We will break down the chemistry of breakdown, how fresh oil turns into engine-killing black sludge, and the exact sequence of events that leads to a completely seized motor. To understand why oil fails, we first have to understand what fresh oil actually does. Most people think motor oil has one simple job: lubrication. They imagine it as a slick layer of grease that stops metal parts from rubbing together. And while that is true, lubrication is actually only a fraction of the story. Engine oil is an engineering marvel. A fresh quart of synthetic oil is a complex cocktail of base fluids mixed with advanced chemical additives. It acts as a primary coolant, carrying intense heat away from the hottest parts of the engine, like the pistons and bearings, which cooling liquid cannot directly reach. It acts as a hydraulic fluid, operating variable valve timing systems and timing belt tensioners. It acts as a rust inhibitor, sealing metal components away from moisture and oxygen. And crucially, it acts as a continuous cleaning agent. Inside a running internal combustion engine, tiny amounts of unburned fuel, microscopic soot, carbon particles, raw water vapor, and acidic byproducts blow past the piston rings and enter the crankcase. Fresh oil contains detergent and dispersant additives designed specifically to catch these contaminants, suspend them safely in the liquid, and sweep them straight into the oil filter before they can settle on critical engine parts. So what happens when you hit 5,000, 10,000, or 15,000 miles on that same oil? First, the chemicals begin to die. Under the extreme heat and pressure of daily driving, the protective additives inside the oil gradually break down and burn off. The anti-wear additives degrade. The rust inhibitors wear out. And most importantly, the detergents become completely saturated. The oil simply reaches a physical limit. It cannot absorb or hold any more carbon, dirt, or debris. When the oil can no longer hold contaminants in suspension, physics takes over. The microscopic carbon soot and unburned fuel particles begin to stick together. They pool in low-flow areas of the engine, baking under extreme operating temperatures. This is the precise moment fresh, slippery oil undergoes a horrific chemical transformation into what mechanics call engine sludge. Sludge is not just dirty oil. It is a thick, tar-like, sticky black substance with the consistency of heavy pudding or liquid asphalt. As sludge accumulates, it begins to coat every internal surface of your motor. It covers the valve covers, sticks to the camshafts, and coats the inside of the oil pan. But the real danger is what happens inside the microscopic oil passages known as oil galleries. Think of oil galleries as the arteries of your engine. They are tiny channels engineered to deliver pressurized oil directly to high-friction components like crankshaft bearings, rod bearings, and camshaft journals. As sludge thickens, it acts like cholesterol in human arteries. The oil passages become narrower and narrower. The oil pump has to work harder and harder to force this thick, gelled tar through tiny openings. Eventually, the inevitable happens. the oil filter becomes completely clogged with debris. When an oil filter clogs, a tiny mechanical safety valve inside the filter assembly opens up, known as the bypass valve. This valve is designed to keep oil flowing so the engine does not starve instantly, but it comes at a terrifying cost. It bypasses the filter entirely. Now thick, sludge-filled, unfiltered oil loaded with abrasive metal shavings and carbon grit is being pumped directly back into your engine's delicate moving parts. This is where the death spiral accelerates. Without clean oil providing a microscopic hydraulic cushion between metal components, raw metal-on-metal friction begins. Steel slams against steel. Aluminum grinds against aluminum. The friction generates insane amounts of heat, far beyond what the engine was built to withstand. Inside the cylinders, the piston rings, which rely on clean oil to stay flexible and seal against the cylinder walls, get caked in hard carbon sludge and freeze in place. When the rings lock up, unburned fuel and hot combustion gases blast freely past the pistons directly into the crankcase, an event known as severe blow-by. This cooks the remaining oil even faster, turning what little liquid is left into hard, brittle carbon crust. Up in the cylinder head, the components operating your valves begin to starve. Modern engines rely heavily on oil pressure to advance and retard valve timing. Without clean oil pressure, variable valve timing actuators begin to chatter, throw check engine codes, and misfire. The camshafts, spinning thousands of times per minute on a thin film of oil, begin to score and grind directly against their aluminum caps. And then comes the final act, starvation. At the bottom of the engine sits the oil pickup tube, equipped with a fine wire mesh screen designed to pull liquid oil from the sump into the pump. As sludge chunks break free and fall to the bottom of the oil pan, they completely blanket the pickup screen. The oil pump begins to suck pure air. The oil pressure light on your dashboard flashes red, but by the time that light turns on while you are driving down the highway, it is already far too late. Without oil pressure, the liquid film protecting the main crankshaft bearings vanishes instantly. At 3,000 revolutions per minute, the metal rod bearings heat up to extreme temperatures in seconds. They soften, warp, and literally weld themselves to the spinning crankshaft. A bearing spins out of place, creating a horrific, loud metallic knocking sound that echoes through the vehicle, what mechanics call rod knock. If you keep your foot on the gas pedal for just a few seconds longer, the extreme heat and friction cause a connecting rod to snap completely in half. The broken steel rod, spinning with massive kinetic force, punches a hole clean through the side of the engine block, spraying boiling oil and metal shrapnel all over the pavement. The crankshaft locks solid. The engine seizes. The car comes to a grinding, permanent halt. The entire motor is ruined. It cannot be rebuilt. It cannot be flushed. It is now a multi-thousand-dollar piece of scrap metal, all because of an avoided $40 maintenance item. Now, you might be wondering, how long does this terrifying process actually take? Can you go a little over your oil change interval without destroying your car? The short answer is yes. Modern engines and synthetic lubricants are remarkably resilient. Going 1,000 miles, or even 2,000 miles, past your recommended oil change interval will not cause your engine to explode on the spot. Modern full synthetic oils are far better at resisting breakdown and sludge formation than the conventional oils of 30 years ago. However, the damage caused by neglected oil changes is cumulative. Every time you push an oil change past its limit, tiny amounts of varnish and microscopic deposits are left behind on piston rings and oil passages. Over 50 or 60,000 miles of consistent delay, those small deposits build up into a permanent, irreversible restriction. This is why two identical cars with 100,000 miles can have vastly different lifespans. One owner changed their oil every 5,000 miles. Their internal engine looks like polished silver, consumes zero oil, and will easily run for another decade. The other owner changed their oil every 15,000 miles. Their engine interior is coated in dark brown varnish, burns a quart of oil every month, and is living on borrowed time. So, what is the golden rule for keeping your engine alive? Ignore the extreme marketing claims on oil bottles that promise 20,000-mile protection. Always check your owner's manual, keep an eye on your oil level using the dipstick at least once a month, and stick to a consistent, conservative service schedule. For most modern vehicles running full synthetic oil, changing your oil every 5,000 to 7,500 miles, or once a year, whichever comes first, is the cheapest insurance policy you can ever buy for your car. Motor oil is relatively cheap. A brand new engine is not. If you found this deep dive guide helpful, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and drop a comment below sharing how often you change the oil in your ride. Thanks for listening and drive safe out there.